Hello my beautiful friends, my name is Liv if you're new here, and for this video we are going to be doing the last book haul of the year. We are in the month of December. We are wrapping it up. I have loved watching everyone's end of the year videos, their worst books, their best books, their last book hauls, their goals for next year. There is just so much happening right now, but honestly it's my favorite time of year and I could not be more excited to share with you some of the books I have picked up recently. Basically a lot of books I've picked up in the last couple months that I have not shared with you yet. A couple of these I've read, but as you could guess most of them I have not. Some of them I've also had in videos recently, so I am going to go through these pretty quickly, but let's just go ahead and dive into all the books. I do have them kind of categorized in a certain way, but for the most part I'm just going to be sharing with you why I picked these books up, why I'm planning to read them in the new year, and yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. I thought I would go ahead and share with you the holiday books first in case you want to add them to your December TBR, or you're looking for gifts, or you just haven't heard of these holiday Christmas books yet. I thought I would go ahead and share those with you first. The first book I have is A Holiday by Gaslight, a Victorian Christmas novella by Mimi Matthews. And to be completely honest with you, I bought this book because it's very short for a good little readathon moment, but also my friend Rachel said she absolutely loved this. It was so swoony. The Goodreads ratings are massive on this, and sometimes you love just like a good Regency kind of holiday feeling book, and I don't own any Regency holiday books. I think I've been more so in the mood for them because I've been into Little Women recently, and that just kind of sparked my interest a little bit more for being in the mood to read something more historical. I know nothing about this other than it's like a courtship of convenience. They've tried to like date or court in the past, and I think it's kind of like a second chance romance. I am all about that, and this cover, are you kidding me? I honestly just had to own this. It's so stunning. Next I have A Match Made at Christmas by Courtney Walsh. You guys know how much I love Courtney Walsh. She is the epitome of Christmas magic books. I loved this book. It's also a very short one. It is a novella between a number 1 and a number 2, but this one takes place during Christmas obviously, so I just decided to jump into this one. It got a cover redesign. This one has to do with a matchmaker and a friends to lovers story, so if that's your vibe and you also love a book that's filled with hot chocolate, Christmas tree decorating, Christmas movies, just all of the Christmas vibes, and you want something short because let's be real, a lot of us are very busy this time of season, I can definitely see this one being a good one for this time of year. Next I have Snowed In by Catherine Walsh, not to be confused with Courtney Walsh. I read her book Holiday Romance last year, absolutely fell in love with it. I actually teared up a little bit. It was a little bit emotional of a book. This one I'm sure is going to be just the same way, but I do know the couple gets snowed in at a log cabin. How much more could you want? I love the sound of those cozy vibes, and it's just a tradition this time of year for me to pick up a Catherine Walsh book. Next I have A December to Remember by Jenny Bayliss. This is going to be my first Jenny Bayliss read, and I'm especially excited about it because I'm going to be reading it with my patrons in the month of December. So if you guys want to join a book club or you want to discuss this, we will be talking about it on December 28th, and this one just sounds like more than just a holiday romance. I'm just so excited to finally read a Jenny Bayliss this year because every year she comes out with a new Christmas book and everyone's reading it, and honestly I just have FOMO, so I definitely have some catching up to do. The next book that was recently a book of the month choice is The Kingdom of Sweets by Erica Johansson. I have never heard of this author before, but this book sounds incredible. It's basically a fantasy book about two sisters, and it's a Nutcracker retelling, and I've heard it's actually pretty dark, and I love a good dark fantasy, but in case I get burned out on all the happy books, I feel like this could be a good palate cleanser. Next I picked up Marmee, a novel of Little Women. So here you go, all those Little Women fans out there. I have been reading Little Women. I'm still reading it for the first time this year, and it's so magical and so applicable even to today's time. But this one is from the perspective of Marmee, so we kind of get more insight into what she's thinking, what she's going through, and she seems like such a strong character in Little Women, but I have a feeling this one is going to break my heart. So if I don't get to it this year, I'm definitely hoping to fit this in at some point next year. Speaking of Little Women, there's a new edition that came out this year that I saw everyone buying, and I was like, that is just too cute not to buy. So I ended up buying this edition, which is just the children's signature classic, but this is just so beautiful. The purple, the colors, the typography, like I am obsessed. Yes, I'm still reading this. I'm only halfway through, but I'm loving every second of it. And as a companion to that, I also decided to get the Little Women devotional. It actually has a little devotional for each chapter. So you read a chapter in Little Women, you read the devotional in this. I think it's 45 days. So next year I would love to reread this and really start at maybe the beginning of November. So I think it's going to be super cool to see these two go hand in hand. Next, I have a book by an author that I've been really wanting to read from for a long time. I do own Better Than the Movies, but when I saw that they put out this edition of The Do-Over with the sprayed heart edges and it's teal, I knew I had to pick this up immediately. Honestly, the only thing I know about it is it's like this girl gets dumped and it's on Valentine's Day. She relives Valentine's Day, kind of like the Groundhog Day kind of trope situation, which personally I don't mind. So hopefully I'm going to be reading this in February when I'm really in the mood for romance books, but I just love this cover and I've heard nothing but amazing things about this author. The next romance book in this haul, which I believe there's only about 3 to 5 romance books, there's not too many, there's definitely a massive stack of fantasy, which we will get to, but my book of the month choice, I think for November this was, is This Spells Love by Kate Robb. I love this cover. This sounds so cute. It's more magical realism, which I love that in my romance. A young woman tries to heal her heartbreak by casting a spell to erase her ex from her past, but wakes up in an alternate reality in which she's lost more than she wished for in this witty, whimsical friends to lovers debut. Everything about that sounds perfect for me, so I'm hoping to really love this one. The next 3 books I am going to talk about together because they are part of a series. I could cry with how beautiful these are. I can't believe they're in my hands. No, I have not read anything by this author before, but the minute I saw the first one come out in the UK edition, I knew I had to own this series. Like, it's way too beautiful not to own. That is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. These are absolutely stunning. If you guys don't know, you can go on Blackwell's and you can actually get UK editions for free shipping to the US, which is where I got these, and this first one is signed. It is absolutely stunning. It also has such a cool like gold foil on the cover. I'm just so excited to have this. So hopefully 2024 will finally be the year that I get into these. The next book that I recently bought is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. And you might say, Olivia, that book has been out since 2008, especially because you already own a copy. Well, to that I say, I only own the paperback in this, and I have the hardback in the rest of the series. So it was finally time for me to just go ahead and pull the trigger on buying the hardback to complete my set. I have zero regrets. I recently saw The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and that's definitely re-sparked my love for the Hunger Games. But I'm a Hunger Games girly. I feel like I don't talk about it enough on my channel, but back in the day when I was in high school, I would go to all the midnight premieres. Like, I was so hardcore for this series, and I really want to reread it at some point next year. So I finally decided to just buy a copy of the hardcover. The next book I have is actually one that is a mystery. I think one of the few mystery thrillers that's actually in this book haul, because like I said, most of them are fantasy books, but I did decide to pick up The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes during a Barnes & Noble sale. This book came out forever ago. Like, the original booktubers were reading these and talking about them. Somehow they've resurfaced and they've really piqued my interest. This 4-book series is just about teenagers that have exceptional like capabilities. I think some of them may even be able to read minds, but I've heard that this is like Criminal Minds but young adult, so you have me intrigued there. I've been looking for something new and something bingeable that's a mystery thriller recently to really hold my interest, but I think this one's just going to be a really fun time and hopefully kind of like a different spin on your typical mystery thriller. Next, I have a duology that I am 100% fully obsessed with, and I don't know why people aren't talking about like this cozy mystery romance series more. That is Juniper Bean Resorts to Murder, and I also have Heidi Lucy Loses Her Mind. These covers are just exceptional. They are stunning. They are so cute. I honestly don't remember how in the world I found out about this duology, and I really hope it ends up being more than a duology. It was romance, it was small town cozy vibes, it had a great mystery to it, it was hard-hitting in the end, and it was an emotional read, more so than I thought. This one I don't think has anything to do with the first one, so I think you can read them separately because I don't think they're the same characters. The cinnamon roll character that our main male character is in this book is just so good. He's like this dark academic kind of professor, and our main character Juniper is a writer. She writes romance books but somehow always involves a murder in her story, and the two of them are just so good together. I am just fully 100% obsessed with them. Next, we're gonna get into all of the fantasy reads that I've purchased recently. You can definitely tell my mood is shifting more towards fantasy going into the new year, which isn't really a surprise, but I can definitely feel like my fantasy roots coming back, and I'm really excited to read all of these in the new year. First one though, I did end up reading for my book club called The Unmaking of June Farrow. I loved this book. It was 5 stars. Spoiler alert, it may have even made it to my favorites of the year. This was so atmospheric, such a romantic story. If you have never read Adrienne Young, please start with this one. I did try her young adult series, Fable, which is like a pirate kind of adventure story. Wasn't the biggest fan of that series. I don't know if I'll ever continue, but this was emotional. I teared up. It was not what I expected it to be. So if you are at all interested in this book, or if you have a book of the month subscription, please add this to your next box because I promise you will not be disappointed. The next book I picked up, mainly because Bookstagram made me to it, is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I knew nothing about this series. It was never on my radar until I kept seeing it everywhere, and I'm like, well, there must be a good reason for it. And the only thing I know about it is it's like Hunger Games, but fantasy romance. And like I just said, I am back in my Hunger Games kind of era, and if this is anything like that, I think I really could enjoy this one. I'm a little bit skeptical because I know it's heavier on the romance, but I've heard great, amazing things about it. I don't know anything about the world, but I am trusting Bookstagram on this one. The next book I picked up recently is Foxglove by Adeline Grace. I'm currently reading Belladonna and loving it. I just need to finish it. I think it could potentially go on my favorites of the year. We'll see what happens by the end. But this, I believe, is only going to be a trilogy, which is totally doable for me. I'm not getting invested in like an 8-book series, but I just have a feeling from everyone else's thoughts and feelings by the end of Belladonna, I'm gonna want to pick this one up right away. So I decided to just go ahead and pull the trigger and have this at the ready for when I finally finish Belladonna. Next, I have Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare, and truth be told, I've tried to read The Mortal Instruments a couple times and could not get into it, but this one is her first adult book, which I think is going to be interesting. I'm willing to give it a try. I've heard people say it's like Six of Crows, which makes me a little bit skeptical. Forbidden love, dangerous magic, and a secret that could break the kingdom. So I'm hoping this will finally be like the book that really hits me, where I'm like, yes, I finally love Cassandra Clare, because I've tried it so many times and I really want to love this author like everyone else. Next, I have Iron Flame, which is probably no surprise. I feel like everyone has read this or bought it last month, and let me just say I finished it today. I wasn't sure what I was gonna rate it, but by the end I was like, there she goes again. There is another giant cliffhanger that is just bumping it up a star for me. I loved this book. I thought it was so much fun. Is it perfect? No. Do I love the romance? Not really, but there's just something about her writing that is so addictive, and I'm so glad I finally finished it. I also had FOMO when this came out because the holiday edition of Fourth Wing also came out, and yeah, like I said, I had FOMO. Did I need this? No. But did I want it? Yeah, because I honestly prefer the red color. over the original gold color. The next book, which was so highly anticipated for me for this year, and thankfully it did not disappoint, is Starling House by Alex Iharo. I have never read anything like Alex Iharo in my life. This was eerie and so gripping in the beginning, but I ended up getting teary-eyed by the end. It was an emotional, heartfelt story, a very different take on your typical haunted house story, and I don't know how to describe this book, and I feel like it's definitely for a very specific audience, but honestly I loved it. Her writing is so lyrical, so beautiful. I am hoping to go back and read some of her backlist in the new year because she has quickly become one of my favorite authors. Next we have Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. Have I read this yet? No, but I'm definitely hoping to read it before the year ends. I love this cozy fantasy series so much, and honestly I don't know what I'm waiting on. I think I'm just waiting for the perfect like rainy day where I need like a good feel-good book or a pick-me-up or something to finally open the pages of this book. I don't know what Travis Baldree puts in his books, but they are the coziest books ever. The next book, which is one that was not on my radar until I heard my friend Rachel talk about it, and I was like, you know what? 2 sentences and I'm sold. We have a Trial of the Sun Queen, and the 2 sentences were this: 10 women, a deadly contest. That's literally all I need to know about this. It's a fantasy romance. You have women, I believe, that are fighting to the death. It reminds me of the Hunger Games. I've heard these books just keep getting better and better as the series goes on, and I'm not exactly sure how many there are at this point. It was only recently, I think, that they finally put these in stores, so I'm very excited. I feel like this could be like a 5-star that wasn't originally on my list of 5-star predictions, but I'm hoping this could be like a hidden gem series for me. The next book I have is Juniper and Thorn by Ava Reed. I loved A Study in Drowning. I immediately went out and bought this book. I cannot with her atmosphere and her writing. It's absolutely stunning. She is so smart with the way that she writes. Every single sentence has so much thought put into it. A gothic horror retelling of the juniper tree in which a young witch seeks to discover her identity and escape the domination of her ruthless wizard father. I've never read the juniper tree. I don't think I really know what that story is about, so I'm kind of hoping that's a good thing because I can go into it completely blind. This also says perfect for fans of Shirley Jackson, and I love Haunting of Hill House, so I'm hoping that means there are some horror kind of vibes in this book. Next, I have Assistant to the Villain, which has been a lot of people's favorites of the year, and I'm hoping it'll be a favorite of mine if I get to it this month or the beginning of next year. This just sounds like another cozy, fun, humorous, romantic-y type of time. There's so many buzzwords in this synopsis. I was like, check, 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 and my friend Kendall said this is probably gonna be her top favorite book of the year. But regardless, I just keep staring at this book and it's staring back at me, and I just know it's going to be a 5-star. The next book is The Hexologist, which again was not originally on my radar until my friend Kendall brought it up to me, and this just sounds like a jolly good fun time. Magical mysteries abound and only one team can solve them, the Hexologists. In this book, the king wants to be baked into a cake, and it just sounds really funny. Like, I don't know why, I don't care why, I just feel like this could be another one of those books that no one is really talking about, but that could really end up being a super fun time. Next, I have The Witch Collector by Carissa Weeks. I think this is a 4-book series at this point, but I'm so glad the first one is Wintry. I know this is more of an adult romantasy, but our main character is on this mission to go save her sister from the Frost King, and that just sounds super epic to me. Probably full of wintry vibes, hopefully a good atmosphere, and I've heard nothing but great things about this one, so I'm hoping this series will be my newest obsession. I also have another wintry romantasy book called Ledge. I have not seen a lot of people talk about this one. I honestly don't know a lot about it, but if it's wintry and if it's romantasy, I'm gonna end up picking it up. It's just about a place called Ledge where there is a civilization trapped by a vast chasm and sheer mountain face. Rations are small, living is tough, and there's no escape without befalling a deathly drop. The Glacians are mysterious and vicious winged creatures who reside beyond the ledge. This definitely sounds like a darker type of fantasy, but I am 100% here for it. Okay, the next couple books I have are some middle grade that I've picked up recently. I've actually gotten rid of a lot of my middle grade books. I realized how much I don't read middle grade, but I would really love to read more middle grade fantasy. So I've slowly been collecting a couple more middle grade fantasy. The first one is A Pinch of Magic, and I've seen this one around quite a lot for a while, but I've never actually seen them on the shelves in the States before. They have different covers in the UK, so I didn't even recognize this. All Betty Wintershins wants is an adventure, one that takes her far away from the gloomy island where she's always lived. But instead of an adventure, Betty and her sisters, Fliss and Charlie, are given a set of magical objects, and these magical objects come with their own terrible secret. The sisters' family is haunted by a generations-long curse that prevents them from ever leaving their island at the cost of death. This just sounds like a more high stakes kind of middle grade fantasy that I'm totally into. I also love a great sister dynamic. I went book shopping with my sister and we both bought a copy of this, so I think we're gonna buddy read this together, which I think will be super fun. The next book I have is definitely a very Olivia book called Greenwild, Step into the Adventure of a Lifetime. I don't know if you can see from there, but there's this girl with a cat, and this book has so many plants in it, especially if you look at the map on the inside. It's just absolutely stunning. And there's a little field guide of a bunch of plants that's in the middle of this, which is so cute and such a creative idea to add to a book. I'm already so obsessed with this, and all I know about it is our main character's mom goes missing. So she goes to find her mom. She stumbles upon this place called Greenwild, which is full of natural plants, and a whole bunch of other adventures happen. I think this will be a good book to get to, especially in the springtime. The next few books are from publishers that I've received recently, so thank you to these publishers who so kindly sent me copies of ARCs. I'm so excited to get to so many of these. First of all, we have Alison Saff's A Fragile Enchantment, and I also have Down Comes the Night by the same author. This one is a backlist winter romantasy, but this one doesn't come out until January 2nd, and this one's more of like a cottagecore, elegant kind of Regency. There's balls, there's so many other things in here that give me those 5-star feeling. So I'm hoping to get to both of these this winter. I also have The Fatal Folio, which is a cozy mystery series. This is number 3 in the series, but I do own the first one. The first one I believe is called Chapter and Curse, and this is just about a bookshop in Cambridge, England, and it's a murder mystery. You guys know I love my cozy mysteries, so I'm so glad to have more in this series because I think this is going to be a really fun one. Next I have Artifacts of an Ex, which is a young adult romance book about a girl who takes all of her breakup boxes that she's had with relationships and she makes art out of them, which I think is super cool. I've never heard of this author. I think it might be a debut, but I'm hoping to save this in February because I think it'll be like a cute little fun feel-good romance for the month of February, right around Valentine's Day. Next I have Stacey Willingham's Only If You're Lucky, that comes out the 16th of January, and I have not read any books by this mystery thriller author, but from what I've seen she is great at writing. A lot of people give her books 5 stars, and this one takes place at a university that's actually in South Carolina, so I thought that was really cool because it's where I live. I'm really hoping to finally get into more mystery thrillers next year, and she's one of the top authors that I can't wait to read from. Next I have The Expectant Detectives, which is a brand new debut author series that is giving me 100% Finlay Donovan vibes, but this is about a group of friends that are all expecting babies. They're taking a prenatal class together, and in one of their classes like a dead body is found, and so they take it upon themselves to solve this mystery. Under a cloud of suspicion and with a fog of mom brain, Alice and her multitasking friends set out to solve the mystery and clear Alice's name. I think the second one is already in the works right now, so hopefully this will be another fun series. Next I have The Star and the Strange Moon, which is actually already available. It came out last month, but this one is more of like a horror kind of historical fantasy where our main character ends up having a nightmare where she gets pulled into a horror film. But this just sounds like a very unique premise, and I have very much been into more historical fantasy these days, so this could definitely have the potential to be a big 5 stars. Last but not least, I have 2 Christian nonfiction books that I've picked up recently. I have been trying to incorporate more of them into my monthly reading and in my TBRs. The first one is Live No Lies by John Mark Comer. I read The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry this past year, and it was absolutely life-changing. The way I see the Sabbath on Sundays as rest, and how I treat social media, and how much time I spend on my phone, like that whole book just completely flipped a switch in my brain that no other book has. And this one is about recognizing and resisting the 3 enemies that sabotage your peace. So I think this is definitely going to be another home run for me. And last but not least, I have an older book that some of you may have read by this point, but personally I've never read it. I have Anxious for Nothing by Max Lucado. Finding calm in a chaotic world. I do deal with a lot of anxiety, a lot of internal thoughts. I love books like this because it just helps you process and validate your feelings, but in a spiritual manner and in a biblical manner. And I just know this is going to be another super impactful book for me, especially because of the topic. Well, my friends, that is it for the last book haul of the year. We definitely have some great books that I'm going to be bringing into the new year, obviously, and reading those. A lot of these are big on my priority list, and we just had a lot of great books come out at the end of the year that I wanted to share with you, so you will definitely have to let me know if any of these are at the top of your list on any of your TBRs in the new year. I am very excited to finally add some of these to my shelf, but I definitely will not be buying any more this year. We are fully set, we are ready to go for the new year, and we've got plenty to read now, so I'm not buying anything else. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next one.